Now, after gathering all the pieces, it's time to weave the full story together. And trust me, this one's too good to skip. The headline? Finesse2tymes officially signing with NBA YoungBoy's Never Broke Again label. Sounds straightforward, right? Well, here's where it gets interesting, because it's not the signing itself that's sparking conversations across the internet. No, it's what NBA YoungBoy said afterward. And the way fans have interpreted it, that's fueling a firestorm online. Many are convinced YoungBoy couldn't resist throwing a pointed public jab at none other than Jay Prince, the powerful Houston music mogul. So, what's really going on here? Let's break it down from the beginning. Finesse2tymes has been grinding for years under the Mob Ties Records banner, the label run by Jay Prince Jr. It wasn't always smooth sailing. Behind the scenes, frustration was simmering. Imagine pouring your heart and soul into music, slowly building your name, only to feel trapped by the very deal that was supposed to lift you up. That tension kept growing quietly for a long time until eventually, Finesse made the bold choice to take his grievances public. And when he did, it wasn't your average social media feud or petty online drama. It was a serious career move, an all-out call-out aimed directly at Jay Prince Jr. and the Mob Ties label itself. Flash forward to January 2026. Finesse wasn't holding back anymore. He went straight to Instagram and openly demanded to be released from his Mob Ties contract. And he didn't mince words. He called it the worst contract he had ever signed. Not just in some vague industry sense, but personally, the absolute worst. Now keep in mind who we're talking about here. Finesse2tymes isn't a rookie who stumbled into the game by chance. He came home from prison, dropped a project, and made waves in the rap world on his own terms. And he did it fast. He knew exactly what he was doing. Yet despite that, he found himself locked into a deal he felt was completely unfair. His Instagram message to Jay Prince Jr. was raw and direct. "Junior, I want out my contract too. I don't want to be Mob Ties no more. I want my own. Let me go, Junior." This wasn't some polite negotiation behind closed doors or quiet legal talks handled by attorneys. It was a rapper standing up in public, demanding his freedom from a label run by one of Houston's most respected and connected hip-hop families. The sheer boldness stunned many, because you don't just challenge Jay Prince Jr. like that without fully knowing the stakes. Digging into the details of the contract itself helps explain why Finesse was so upset. According to reports, the revenue split looked like this. Finesse would take home 35% of the earnings from his music. Meanwhile, Jay Prince Jr.'s label would receive another 35%, and on top of that, Jay Prince Sr., the legendary figure behind the dynasty, would get 30%. Put simply, Finesse was responsible for grinding, creating music, making moves, and building hype, but 65% of everything he generated was claimed by members of the same family. Just letting those numbers sink in tells a powerful story all on their own. At one point, Finesse even compared how he was treated under this record deal to something far more personal, emphasizing the emotional weight behind his frustration. This wasn't just a financial dispute, it was about respect, control, and the fight to take charge of his own career. The stage was set, tensions were high, and the whole hip-hop community was watching closely. He described the situation with Mob Ties as nothing short of modern-day slavery. The frustration had grown so overwhelming that he openly confessed he no longer even wanted to release a new album. "Mob Ties is the worst deal I ever signed," he admitted, with a mix of regret and bitterness. "I should have just gone to Atlantic by myself, faced the challenges head-on, rather than being trapped in this mess." He couldn't understand why artists without any real hits or accomplishments were gaining access to rooms and opportunities he was being shut out from. How come these people are getting in, and I'm nowhere near those circles? I've got gold plaques, trophies, the works, all this talent, all this potential, just slipping through my fingers, going to waste. The level of control and restriction he felt was suffocating him. At this point, "This feels like slavery," he said, summing up the emotional and artistic toll it was taking on him. That raw, unfiltered frustration and desperation propelled everything that followed. When a rising artist publicly airs their burning desire to break free, it sends shockwaves through the industry. Every major label in hip-hop took notice. Among them was YoungBoy Never Broke Again's powerhouse enterprise, Never Broke Again, LLC, ready to make moves. But before diving deeper into that deal and its seismic impact, it's crucial to grasp just how tangled and hostile this music contract battlefield truly was. Finesse was so desperate for clarity that he actually fed his entire contract into ChatGPT, hoping to decode the legal jargon and understand the fine print he had unwittingly agreed to. What came back shocked him to his core. The deal was a ruthless 360 agreement. This meant the label owned rights, not just to his music, but his brand, his name, and even his likeness. The chatbot explained that even the advances and perks, expensive jewelry, luxury accommodations, private jets, could be used against him if he ever tried to back out. Any attempt to renegotiate or escape could trigger costly legal battles or clawback demands. There was no way out through the assignment clause either. The label could sell or transfer his contract to an entirely different company without his consent. What made this nightmare even worse was the advice he was given early on by J. Prince Sr., the respected music executive he trusted. "Don't get a lawyer," the elder Prince had warned him. He later admitted the real obstacle was with the younger Prince, J. Prince Jr., whose handling of the situation was problematic at best. Following that advice, Finesse had signed away all legal protections, now trapped in a contract that shut every door he tried to open. Then came a new chapter, NBA YoungBoy and his Never Broke Again imprint. Founded in 2015 by YoungBoy himself, alongside OG33, this Baton Rouge-based label started as an imprint under Atlantic Records, but evolved over time. By 2022, it had shifted under Motown, part of the Universal Music Group family. YoungBoy was no ordinary artist. He wasn't just building hit songs, he was carefully constructing an entire infrastructure, a powerful empire that reshaped the game. Just as Finesse was screaming out for an escape from mob ties, the stage was set for something entirely new, something that would change his career forever. January 2026. The eyes of the entire rap world were glued to the screen, but none more so than YoungBoy himself. This wasn't just another moment in the spotlight for him. This was personal. The whole internet buzzed with anticipation, yet behind that buzz was a deep and complex history between YoungBoy and one of the most influential figures in hip-hop, J. Prince. To really grasp why YoungBoy's decision to co-sign Finesse2tymes carried such immense weight, you need to dive into the tangled past between him and the Prince family. And spoiler alert, it's far from a picture-perfect friendship. J. Prince, famously known as James Prince, isn't just a name in the Southern rap world. He's one of its founding pillars, a true godfather. As the founder of Rap-A-Lot Records, he helped sculpt the sound of the South, launching legendary acts like the Ghetto Boys and UGK into stardom. But his influence didn't stop with just Houston natives. J. Prince also played a critical role behind the scenes, with megastars like Drake, using his vast network and influence to give the Canadian rapper key resources and momentum during his early ascent. Over several decades, J. Prince earned a reputation as one of hip-hop's most powerful gatekeepers. His influence is so renowned, it's become something of an inside joke online. You better check in with J. Prince if you're rolling through Houston. But underneath the humor lies a serious truth. If you're a rapper with street credibility, stepping into Houston without J. Prince's blessing, is not something to take lightly. And here's where the real drama sparks. YoungBoy is not the kind of artist who checks in with anyone. He operates on his own rules, his own code, and that attitude hasn't always sat well with the Prince family, who are known for commanding respect and control over their territory and those who enter it. The tension came to a boil back in 2023 when YoungBoy dropped a diss track aimed at a Texas rapper closely tied to Jay Prince's inner circle. That track wasn't just music, it was a direct challenge, an assertion that YoungBoy played by his own rules, no matter the consequences. Naturally, the Rap-A-Lot family didn't let that slide quietly. They fired back, defending their legacy and setting the stage for a very public feud. Meanwhile, the bond between Drake and the Prince family runs deep. The Princes have been steadfast allies to Drake, ready to step in and protect their artist whenever conflict arises. Jay Prince doesn't shy away from publicly endorsing Drake, famously declaring, "I say to you publicly that Drake is my son. He roll with me." That loyalty came with a sharp message aimed directly at YoungBoy. Take him off your enemy list. Imagine the boldness of that. A legendary Houston mogul openly telling one of the hottest rappers on the planet to reconsider his stance, simply because the Prince family said so. It was a challenge, a command veiled as advice. And true to form, YoungBoy didn't back down. He ignored the warning, holding firm to his path. This refusal to comply only intensified the standoff. Jay Prince wasn't one to let things slide, and he responded. What followed would set the tone for the months ahead, as the power dynamics in the rap world once again shifted under the pressure of this high-stakes clash. After an intense exchange where YoungBoy bluntly told him to back off and mind his own business, things between them took a dark and personal turn. This wasn't some flashy rap feud with clever diss tracks or public showdowns. No, it was deeply personal, and it stung sharper than any verse could. And unlike a typical beef that flares up and dies down, this one lingered, smoldering quietly beneath the surface for years, unresolved and quietly boiling with tension. So when Finesse2tymes launched his very public, headline-grabbing assault on the Mob Ties camp in January 2026, YoungBoy was already primed and ready. The seeds for this war had been planted long ago. He wasn't just watching from the sidelines. He held a personal grudge. He had leverage. He wasn't just reacting, he was calculating. And now, adding fuel to the fire, there was a talented Memphis rapper in the mix, someone with a serious fan base, stuck in a contract with a family that YoungBoy had already tangled with. This wasn't random chaos. It was a calculated move in a game of power and influence. To fully grasp this, you need to understand Mob Ties and the legacy behind it. Jay Prince Jr. launched Mob Ties Records in 2017, stepping into the shoes of his father and the legendary Rap-A-Lot Records label. This wasn't just a business. It was about preserving an empire, a way to ensure the Houston stronghold on Southern rap didn't fade away, but instead evolved with a new generation. The label's mission was clear: to carry forward the family legacy, to build on the foundation laid by the past with fresh talent and fresh vision. Finesse2tymes was supposed to be the crown jewel of this new era, proof that the Prince family hadn't lost their Midas touch. She was meant to showcase the next wave of stars cultivated by this family dynasty. But what happened instead caught everyone by surprise. Vanessa became one of the fiercest critics, the loudest voice exposing the cracks within the supposedly tight-knit operation. Her outspoken nature revealed problems that had been simmering beneath the surface for some time. When Vanessa eventually joined YoungBoy's roster, it wasn't merely a shift on a business level. It was a very public fracture in the Prince family legacy. YoungBoy recognized that crack immediately, and he wasn't about to let such a weakness go unnoticed or unchallenged. Finesse2tymes, meanwhile, had been publicly demanding release from his mob ties contract for months. Then, on a Monday morning, things took a sharp turn. Prince Jr. responded not with a detailed explanation or a formal legal rebuttal, but with a direct personal attack on Finesse's appearance, posting a trolling comment on Instagram, mocking everything from supposed cosmetic surgeries to his hair. It was a low blow in an already tense battle, but what it revealed was far more telling. Instead of defending the contract or addressing financial concerns, Prince Jr.'s focus was a mere jab at looks. The internet quickly picked up on this. It was a clear sign that Prince Jr. had no solid argument to back up the deal itself. There was no counterclaim about the business, just a personal insult that unintentionally exposed the real shaky ground beneath the surface. Now here's the kicker. Before Finesse2tymes even joined Never Broke Again, he and YoungBoy were already locked in a heated feud. The Louisiana rapper had intensified a long-standing conflict, setting the stage for this tangled, high-stakes drama to unfold. The drama between Memphis rapper Finesse2tymes and NBA YoungBoy exploded into the spotlight, but it wasn't sparked by a typical rap rivalry. No diss tracks or label disputes. Instead, this fiery feud ignited over something far more personal and unexpected. Finesse allegedly sliding into YoungBoy's wife Jaslyn Michelle's direct messages. YoungBoy himself revealed in a video how this is where it all began, making it crystal clear that this wasn't just another industry spat, it was a personal violation. And if you know YoungBoy's presence online, you know he doesn't take such slights sitting down. He hit back in a way that caught everyone off guard. Rather than responding with words alone, YoungBoy launched a bold counterattack on Instagram. He shared a provocative photo of Finesse's child's mother, showing her wearing pink lingerie and playful bunny ears. The caption read, "I got that bag FR," a confident flex on his status and resources. Not stopping there, he posted a snap of Boston Richie's girlfriend with a mountain emoji, followed by a question mark, perhaps a cryptic invitation linked to his private mountain property, where he's known to keep his circle. YoungBoy wasn't just trading insults. He was turning this clash into a public display of power. The message was unambiguous. He had the money, the platform, and the influence to expose and embarrass Finesse at will. The tension escalated rapidly after Finesse reportedly offered YoungBoy a chance to FaceTime his girlfriend for a fee, $250 to be exact. YoungBoy had initially made a move towards Finesse's girlfriend, and in classic Finesse fashion, the Memphis rapper flipped the situation into a business opportunity. His pitch was simple. If you want access, it's going to cost you. Finesse was unbothered emotionally, treating the whole situation like another hustle, another way to monetize the drama. In response, Finesse claimed YoungBoy's mental state was unstable, suggesting he wouldn't waste his time engaging with a Baton Rouge rapper who, according to Finesse, was struggling mentally. He even mentioned how YoungBoy's Utah house arrest situation made it feel like he was living in a luxury cell, implying restrictions that limited his freedom. Finesse didn't hold back on personal digs, saying real gangsters don't cry over women, and real gangsters don't go to war over women, dismissing YoungBoy as a young knave who simply didn't understand. This wasn't just casual tension, it became a full-scale personal war. YoungBoy was airing personal photos, and Finesse was throwing serious shade about YoungBoy's mental health and maturity. By April 2024, the two artists were clearly not on speaking terms. Their relationship fractured completely. And yet, in a surprising twist almost 2 years later, Finesse2tymes would end up signing with YoungBoy's label, proving that in the music world, even the hottest feuds can sometimes turn into unexpected partnerships. Back in 2024, YoungBoy had made one thing crystal clear. He wasn't looking to be friends with Finesse. And that choice of words? It wasn't accidental or trivial. The term friends simply wasn't part of their arrangement. When Finesse ultimately inked a deal with Never Broke Again, it was strictly business. No warmth, no camaraderie, just cold, calculated, and mutually beneficial strategy. YoungBoy was searching for an artist with real buzz and an untold story, someone whose narrative could amplify the label's reach. At the same time, Finesse was desperate for a platform to break free from the grip of the Prince family, from past conflicts and social media spats, none of which seemed to overshadow the weight of the deal in 2024. That's the reality of the rap game. Old rivals can transform into business associates when the numbers align perfectly. And in this case, the deal made sense to both sides. But the journey from that tense April 2024 exchange to Finesse stepping through the doors of Never Broke Again in 2026, it was anything but straightforward. There were many layers to unravel first, tangled in a web of drama that ran deep, far beyond a few angry social media posts. At the center was a feud between YoungBoy's camp and the Prince family that quickly escalated beyond digital walls. It spilled over into the real world, in a Houston restaurant where gunfire erupted, shattering whatever fragile peace might have existed. The incident happened at Confessions Restaurant and Lounge, nestled in Houston's Upper Kirby district, a spot known for its upscale crowd. Around 11:30 p.m., police rushed to the scene after reports of shots fired. The chaos began as an attempted robbery, specifically what's called a chain snatching, where a group confronted and assaulted a man inside or just outside the venue. In a twist of events, the targeted individual fought back. Gymnastic and quick, he managed to seize a firearm from his attackers and opened fire. Among those hit was NBA Ben 10, a Baton Rouge rapper closely affiliated with YoungBoy and signed to Never Broke Again. Ben 10, whose real name is Ben Anthony Fields, 26 years old, took multiple shots to the torso and chest. Another man, also in his mid-20s, was struck several times in his arms and legs. Both victims were rushed to the hospital in critical condition. The streets and socials exploded with speculation and rumors almost instantly. Was NBA Ben 10 dead? Was this shooting yet another twisted chapter in the ongoing YoungBoy versus Prince family saga? Who exactly was involved? Just when the swirling rumors began to get out of hand, OG Monique, who is believed to be the mother of OG 33, a known YoungBoy affiliate, stepped in on Instagram to put an end to the craziness. She firmly denied the reports of Ben 10's death, writing, "10 is alert. Stop the made-up stories." She confirmed that Ben 10 had survived the ordeal. But while the immediate scare was over, the repercussions from that night were far from done. They had only just begun unfolding. The shooting sent shockwaves through the Houston rap scene, sparking wild rumors that Prince Jr. might be somehow tangled up in the drama surrounding NBA Ben 10, who was a close confidant of NBA YoungBoy and had just been violently targeted. Tensions skyrocketed when Detroit rapper All-Star JR threw gasoline on the already raging fire by boldly claiming he was involved in the shooting. He alleged that he himself had fired the shots at NBA Ben 10, supposedly defending his own jewelry in the process. But All-Star JR didn't stop there. Instead of laying low, he took to social media to taunt Prince Jr. relentlessly. He even dropped a diss track aimed squarely at both Prince Jr. and NBA Ben 10, turning the whole episode into a twisted promotional stunt. In one of his verses on Mob United, All-Star JR spat, "Thought he was mobbed, tied up, till I shot his ass a few times," flaunting utter confidence, as if daring the Prince family to respond. That level of brazen provocation wasn't just a sign of disrespect. It revealed a dramatic shift in how the once fearsome Mob Tie's name was viewed, showing vulnerability where once there was only strength. Meanwhile, background chatter hinted that the real target might have been All-Star Jr. himself, with whispers that Prince Jr. supposedly sent Ben 10 and his crew to rob Jr. as payback or a personal grudge involving a baby mama. But none of these rumors ever gained official traction. Houston PD declined to link the shooting to any rap rivalries or name suspects beyond the identified victims, and Prince Jr. kept his silence in the public eye. What we do know for certain is this: NBA YoungBoy's close ally got shot in Houston, Prince family territory, and that violent incident only escalated an already volatile situation. Suddenly, the beef was no longer just about Instagram disses or beef over business contracts. It had evolved into a dangerous conflict with stakes that felt all too real. The speculation around Prince Jr.'s role was especially intense, considering the close ties between NBA Ben 10 and NBA YoungBoy. All-Star Jr.'s public declarations and provocations served only to pour fuel on the fire, ensuring the drama wouldn't die down anytime soon. Watching this entire storm unfold from the sidelines was Finesse2tymes, another artist signed to the Mob Ties label who had been openly challenging Prince Jr. for months. He found himself trapped in a deal he had grown to despise, caught in the middle as the family he was tied to became the epicenter of one of Houston's most explosive rap controversies in 2026. Finesse wasn't blind to the warnings. He could see the walls closing in on the Mob Ties brand, feeling the pressure of a legacy on the verge of collapse. Yet even with the chaos all around him, he could spot the narrow opportunities peeking through the cracks, the doors that might still lead somewhere beyond this chaos if he played his cards right. Everything was coming to a head. It was as if all the pieces had been in motion for years, converging at this explosive moment. The public drama surrounding the attempt to escape Mob Ties was reaching a fever pitch. This wasn't just some random signing. It was the culmination of deep-rooted tension between YoungBoy Never Broke Again and J. Prince, two figures whose strained relationship had simmered beneath the surface for far too long. Now, a devastating shooting in Houston had suddenly thrust Prince Jr. into the spotlight, shining an intense microscope on both the Mob Ties saga and the unresolved fallout between YoungBoy and Finesse2tymes. What made this even more intriguing was that YoungBoy and Finesse2tymes, after all their previous conflicts, somehow managed to turn their friction into a business collaboration. A surprising pivot, indeed. The final piece fell into place when Finesse officially signed with Never Broke Again, YoungBoy's label, built from the ground up in Baton Rouge. This was no small operation. It had evolved far beyond just a local collective of artists. With backing from industry heavyweights like Atlantic Records and Motown, Never Broke Again had matured into a serious label with real distribution channels, professional infrastructure, and a fiercely loyal fan base that followed every move YoungBoy made. Never Broke Again isn't just a vanity project where artists are slotted in for status. It's a full-fledged label with deep industry muscle. Based out of Baton Rouge, a city with significant cultural weight in Southern hip-hop, it operates as a Motown imprint under Universal Music Group, one of the biggest names in global music. So when Finesse2tymes joined this label, he wasn't merely stepping away from Mob Ties. He was entering a finely tuned machine built for success. But this was where YoungBoy's mocking defiance of J. Prince truly came alive. The signing didn't happen quietly behind closed doors, with hush-hush contracts and carefully worded press releases. No, YoungBoy made sure the world saw exactly what he was doing. He spent years publicly dissing the Prince family, famously telling J. Prince Sr. to stay out of his business. He refused to check in with them, released diss tracks, and stood firm even as one of his affiliates was shot in Houston, a brutal reminder of the stakes involved. And now he took one of Mob Ties' own artists, Finesse2tymes, and brought him straight under his umbrella. It wasn't just a signing, it was a deliberately bold statement designed to humiliate the Prince family right down to the core. The The taunt was baked right into the deal itself. YoungBoy didn't even need to say a word. The move said it all. Finesse2tymes, who had been publicly shouting for months about wanting out of mob ties, who had spoken openly about the contract as if it were a form of bondage, was now officially part of YoungBoy's camp. This was the same artist who told Prince Jr. on Instagram Live, "Let me go," sparking a viral moment that became YoungBoy's own private punchline at Jay Prince's expense. Back in March, Prince Jr. had fired back, mocking Finesse2tymes for his appearance, and that was the best comeback he could muster after months of being disrespected. But then, within weeks, that very artist was on YoungBoy's label roster, the ultimate symbol of power shifting. In the aftermath, Finesse2tymes expressed deep disappointment, not just in Prince Jr., but in the entire situation and the trust he had placed in those around him. Beneath all the noise, the insults, and the flashy moves, that sense of betrayal and heartache was the quiet, gut-wrenching truth. This wasn't just a business deal, it was an emotional crossroads where loyalty, trust, and ambition collided, forever changing the landscape of this tangled story. He walked in with trust, believing the promises laid before him, signing those papers with hope and maybe a little naivety. What he didn't realize was that the deal he sealed wasn't just any contract, it was a 360 deal that essentially gave away control of his name, his image, and even his future earnings. The Prince family ended up owning the lion's share of everything he created, everything he built from the ground up. This wasn't just another story. It struck a chord deep within the world of modern rap, where artists yearn for independence and labels are fiercely protective of their power and leverage. Fans were glued to this saga like it was a nail-biting playoff game, analyzing every detail, every move, every word. At its core, a contract is supposed to be a partnership, but the moment one side starts feeling trapped, that legal paperwork begins to look less like a stepping stone and more like a suffocating cage. Then there's YoungBoy, who has his own tangled past with major record labels. He signed a massive contract with Atlantic before moving over to Motown, constantly fighting for creative freedom throughout his entire career. He understands those struggles better than most. For him, any deal he makes has to be built on responsibility, not just for himself, but for the artists he's mentoring, making sure he finds the right partners to back his label and vision. That's the promise he made to Finesse, the same promise he once broke with others. But now, YoungBoy was serious. Never to repeat the same mistakes, never to let another artist fall into the same trap. Jay Prince and his family, meanwhile, have long history of conflicts with rap royalty, whether it's 50 Cent, Mace, Cameron, the now jailed Sean Diddy Combs, Pusha T, and many others. This has almost become a part of their story, a legend about the business's behind-the-scenes battles. But the Finesse2tymes situation revealed something new. It wasn't just about external enemies anymore. It was about internal betrayal, the heartbreaking reality of an artist they had signed, developed, and invested in, ultimately walking away to align with someone who had been openly feuding with them for years. Between Jay Prince Sr. and his sons, the roster of opponents continues to expand, and now YoungBoy has surged to the very top of that list, not just in words or social media posts, but in a way that's palpable and real. On Instagram and beyond, YoungBoy took something priceless from them. He took one of their own, right under their noses, and did it on a global stage, in full view of millions of fans worldwide. Meanwhile, Finesse2tymes wasn't sitting idly by. In the weeks leading up to the official signing, he dropped a project titled FKK Day Labels, a bold YouTube playlist consisting of unreleased tracks that sent a message loud and clear: he was not going to be silenced or stuck in place. That title alone was a statement, a direct challenge, a refusal to be boxed in by any label's rules or expectations. Finesse was showing the world that he was ready to move forward on his own terms, no matter the obstacles standing in his way. After everything, YoungBoy was done with the system, done with the old deal that kept him boxed in and limited. The only label he was willing to move forward with was one helmed by a rapper who had already shown he wasn't afraid to stand up to the establishment, specifically the Prince family. Now, YoungBoy never explicitly said, "I did this to mock J. Prince." But in this world, actions speak louder than words. By signing Finesse2tymes and giving him a platform under Never Broke Again, openly, boldly, and in plain sight, he sent a message stronger than any direct diss. What unfolded publicly over the past year, loaded with drama and back and forth, all pointed to this moment. YoungBoy managed to communicate volumes without uttering a single unnecessary word. This wasn't just any signing, it was a statement, a strategic move that turned a social media dispute into a high-stakes boardroom game. It's the raw reality of when a fierce young artist from Baton Rouge, renowned for refusing to bow to anyone, grabs the perfect chance to challenge the Prince family once again and takes it without hesitation in 2023. Remember that diss track YoungBoy dropped targeting someone tied to J. Prince? At the time, it seemed like a sharp jab with no clear follow-up, almost like a random shot fired into the air. But now, the board is set, and there's a clear endgame playing out. The endgame sees Finesse2tymes recording and releasing music under YoungBoy's Never Broke Again umbrella, while J. Prince Jr. is left responding the only way he seems to know how, by trolling on Instagram, poking fun at people's appearances, and keeping the tension simmering online. This story is far from over. The Prince sons have stepped into their father's complex legacy, for better and worse. And whether you love the drama or not, it's clear that it isn't going anywhere anytime soon. YoungBoy, a man who's never backed down from conflict, just made sure the next chapter of this ongoing saga carries his mark unmistakably. Will Finesse2tymes thrive at Never Broke Again? Will J. Prince Jr. find legal angles to complicate matters further? Will the Houston-Baton Rouge rivalry continue to escalate and boil over in unexpected ways? All of that remains to be seen. But one thing is certain, the move has been made, the signing is official, and YoungBoy's laugh, wild and resolute, was the loudest sound in the room when the dust settled. This is more than just music business. It's a power play, wrapped in culture, respect, and rivalry. And the next act? It's just getting started. If you found this story intriguing, make sure to hit that like button, subscribe for more deep dives like this, share with your friends to keep the conversation going, and let us know your thoughts in the comments below. What do you think will happen next in this saga? We're all watching closely, and the drama is only heating up.